Hello, healing community. Feel free to like and subscribe if you are appreciating this content, and go ahead and click on the little bell if you want to be notified when new videos are made. And if you are interested in private coaching, please go to coachcat.org. I am offering private coaching packages. It is getting pretty filled up, but I am still have some openings, so please do contact me. So in this video, what I'm going to talk to you about today is the idea of that I've had a lot of people ask about, which is, how do you get revenge on the narcissist? Like, is the narcissist ever going to, is karma ever going to happen for the narcissist? Are all their duplicitous deeds ever going to catch up with them? And are they going to ever have like bad or negative consequences? Because quite often, if you're in a relationship with one of these people, you may have been in a long-term relationship, you found out they had a double life, they cheated, they do what they always do, which they have overlap, they replaced you with a new source of supply, they were cheating, lying, gaslighting, all these things, right? And you're like, what? And they seem to be doing it with no consequences. They may have been lying to their employers, having a work affair, could have been with high-level security clearances where with them and their affair partner are lying to their reviewers. It could be that they're, committing fraud. It could be that they're, who knows, they could just be doing anything that's like very duplicitous, because these people tend to have they don't really have a moral compass. They don't have empathy. So, they tend to do things, sometimes criminal. More often than not, narcissists are more careful than that. And the crimes that they're committing are all sort of crimes of the heart, really, cunning, hidden, and emotional and psychological abuse that they inflict on their victims, right? So it may not be in any overt way. They may not be, lots of narcissists are not, they may not be physically violent. They may not be showing who they really are for the rest of the world to see. Often they're very, very subtle in their duplicity. In fact, you might have been in a relationship with one for a while, and maybe a long time, and maybe you had no idea you were with a narcissist, or you had no idea you were being abused, because maybe you didn't know that gaslighting, stonewalling, silent treatment, duplicity, and all these manipulation, and all this sort of cunning way that they torture their victims psychologically. You might not have really known that you were actually being abused, because you might not have seen that as abuse. You might only look at abuse as like physical abuse or verbal, right? So how can, people ask themselves, or ask this question, how can these people do this? How can they just be pathological cheaters? How can they have this, hidden sex addiction, that they've been going to prostitutes or picking up people on Craigslist or doing all these weird things, dating sites, when they said that they were in a monogamous relationship, when they've been married for 10 or 15 years? Like, how is this possible that they have this incredible duplicity and they keep getting away with it, and nobody finds out, nobody believes that this is really happening? And oftentimes the victims look like the crazy one, right? So that's very common, is that the way that the narcissist has been working on a smear campaign and crafting the narrative is that the person who's actually the victim looks like the perpetrator, looks like the crazy one. They're the ones that won't let it go. They're the ones that are, in this agitated state, but that's usually because they've been abused and gaslighted so long, they don't know up from down, right? Their brain, a foggy brain, perseverations, incredible damage has been done to their brain, right? So, how do these people just get away with this? They can keep going on with their lives. There's no consequences. Their work doesn't seem to care that they're liars and they're cheaters, that they're having this work affair. Their family doesn't seem to care. Everyone thinks it's just normal, or they think, well, that he or she must have done that because, XYZ, the partner was crazy or whatever, right? And even though you may have been in the relationship and you're like, no, actually, I was really respectful of that person. I had them on a pedestal. I had no idea. And that could be all happening, right? So it can be very frustrating. And I guess the biggest thing I can say to you in terms of, is there, is the narcissist ever going to pay for their crimes, or how to get revenge on them? And I'm going to make this case. You don't spend any time trying to get revenge on a narcissist. And the reason why is because their karma, the revenge, is already just being them, just being them, just being that kind of person. And whether or not they're truly in touch with it or not is almost irrelevant, because really, these are people that can't bond. So can you imagine living your whole life on this planet, 80 years or whatever on this planet, with the inability to have any sort of deep connection with another human being? All of your connections are shallow and surface, and you're really disconnected from your own self and your own humanity, and you have to spend every single day constructing a fake persona, a mask that you send to all of your relationships. You are sending an ambassador or a representative, so nobody really gets to know you. You have all of this weird hidden insecurity and shame. You have self-loathing that you're not even in touch with. A lot of times I think these narcissists, like, I don't even know if they're actually in touch with how they really feel internally. Like, I'm not saying that they realize that they're insecure or that they have a conscious level of sort of self-loathing. It's like they're literally walking through life in this subterranean place where they're not above the veil of consciousness. These people are like the Walking Dead, right? They're like zombies. Like, they are not, they've never done any introspection. They do not have self-awareness. They don't really even think about, you know, why they do what they do, why all their relationships seem to end in chaos, why all their exes, you know, either can't stand them, want nothing to do with them, or in some cases, narcissists will keep their exes on the string, usually secretly, where their new partner doesn't know. They have 5 different exes on the string where they're talking to them and they're keeping their narcissistic supply in like their harem garage, right? But either way, like, they don't have any real connections with humans. They don't have a best friend where it's a truly connected best friend. They don't have that. And they discard everyone in their lives. Anyone who intimates that they're anything less than perfect, they just discard them. So what kind of an existence is that really? And, you know, I recognize that there's a great level of denial that goes on with narcissists that allows them to justify all their actions. So, you know, they hurt somebody and they, you know, everything they do, they justify. So if they cheated on you, it's because you did something to deserve it. If they lied to you, it's because you did something to deserve it. It's always somebody else's fault, right? It's never their fault. Sorry, it's early in the morning. I'm having some coffee. So, you know, yeah, I get that. And they may not even be really in touch with the reality of what they do to others. Like, they may not be like, oh, I'm a liar, I'm a cheater, I'm a shit of a human, and I feel guilty about that. Of course, we know that there's this blockage. Their whole personality structure is they must be perfect. They've never done anything wrong. So if there's even a hint of maybe it wasn't really cool of them to cheat, or maybe they shouldn't be cheaters and liars, you know, I'm not saying that they have that full consciousness of like, yeah, I'm a shit, I'm a cheater, I'm a liar, I'm a F up. No, of course they don't. In fact, that's part of how they operate, is they're always putting that stuff, they're always shirking responsibility. They do not take any personal responsibility for the harms that they cause anyone. So it's not like they're like really fully aware of how awful they are as human beings. But I still say that living in that mind space of, you know, burning bridges and, you know, wrecking people as you go along. And sometimes they might be quite fine with all their surface shallow work relationships, or they may be okay over here. They compartmentalize, but in all of their romantic and love relationships, like if you look back, if you talk to their exes, you're probably going to hear a very similar pattern. And they've left wreckage. So it's like you build up enough wreckage with enough people, and you discard enough of your college friends that you've known for 15 years just because they know you're a cheater. Like, you discard people, you discard them, you discard them. Eventually, that is going to catch up with you on a soul level. You know, whether or not, you know, on a physical level, I don't know. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But on a soul level, that does catch up with people. And it's like, that's why you often see as they get older, they become darker and darker and darker and more isolated and more alone, because they, you know, they hate everyone, and they don't have these warm, they don't have community. They don't have a loving community, a connection. They don't have you know, they just don't have community and they don't trust anyone. So they have absolutely no ability to trust any other human being, right? They're very, you know, they're paranoid. So even their new source of supply or their new relationships, they're not going to trust that person any more than they trusted you. So probably less, you know. So basically, you know, they're on this really dark path, these narcissists. So what's karma? I mean, are they going to have their karma in this life? I think a lot of them do get their karma in this life. And then others, sorry, maybe it's the next life. I mean, I think I don't know much about like karma as a sort of spiritual practice, but, you know, I do know the idea that I think sometimes karma isn't about this life. It's about what's going to happen in the next life. And bottom line is are bad things going to happen to them as they go along? Probably in many ways, yes. But you might be looking at them being like, oh my gosh, you know, we got divorced. Now they have more money and they're so successful. And look, they, you know, in some cases they may be with their new source of supply, which is like their boss, and they may have hooked up with their boss just so they could advance at work. And you may see that they're doing better and better and better at their jobs, and they seem to be gaining, you know, they get a new car, they get a new house, and things seem to be going really good for them. And you may just be like, what's happening? You know, I'm left with nothing, and look how great they're doing. And that is, you know, that's the outside, you know, idea of material karma or material success. But again, that has nothing to do with what's happening, you know, in the darkness of their souls, whether they are connected to that darkness or not. So, you know, is karma ever going to catch up with them? I think sometimes it does, and sometimes it does, but it does happen in the next life. Possibly, or maybe it never does. Maybe you're never going to see it actually catch up with them. And that's okay. Like, let go of that idea. You don't need for their karma to catch up with you. You don't need any of that. All you need to do is get away from them and then start your own healing. And really, in terms of revenge, you know, the best revenge, and I know this is a cliche, but the best revenge is a life well lived. So take all that energy that you want to focus on whether their life is good or not, or ruining, you know, making their life bad, or whatever that is going on for you. Put all of that energy into healing. Heal yourself. And what you're going to find is you're going to start healing, and you're going to start nurturing, and you're going to start doing all the work to heal yourself. Maybe to heal some of those behavioral symptoms of codependence, whether you identify as a codependent or not. If you are staying in a position to be hurt for the possibility of love, approval, or money or security, if you're staying in relationships that are very hurtful to you for that possibility of approval, that's a sign to look for yourself. You know, we don't have to, nobody gets to hold us hostage in relationships. We get to choose who we are in relationship with. Nobody gets to hold me hostage or you hostage. You get to choose. So you get to choose to be with people that are capable of having really deep, emotionally intimate, connected, wonderful relationships. You do not have to be with these shallow, surface, fake people. You get to choose to have, you know, richness and depth in your relationships. And that's certainly a choice based on who you choose to let into your inner circle. You do not have to let these people in who are not capable of any kind of real relationship. They don't do relationships well. They don't even, it's not a value to most narcissists. Most narcissists do not value relationship, not on a reciprocity level, not on the level that most of us do. What they look at is, what can you do for me? So they appreciate the components of a relationship where you're giving to them. If you're cooking for them, cleaning for them, taking care of them, you know, planning their trips, inspiring them, taking them, doing all these fun things with them. You know, if you're doing all of that stuff for them, then yeah, they like you as a Maytag or a wash machine. Like, they appreciate the fact that you're a good wash machine, and their new source of supply may be making them look good at work, or maybe a good cook, or maybe, you know, who knows what, worshiping them. Any of these, you know, things, they're just, that person's a whirlpool to them. They don't give a crap about that person any more than they cared about you. They don't look at people like that. People are objects. What can this person do for me? That is how they look at it. So they don't value relationships in the same way that neurotypicals do, where we value the contribution that we've made to each other, and we value this giving and reciprocity and sharing and community. So hopefully this is helpful for you. But in terms of revenge on the narcissist, take all that energy that you would like to get revenge on them and put it all into your own healing. Put it all into your growth. Put it all into doing therapy you need to. Put it all into addressing your codependence if you have that. Putting it all into addressing some of those childhood abandonment wounds. So you start realizing your value. Your inability to realize and recognize your value is the reason why you got with one of these people. Probably. It might be one of the reasons. There's other reasons, but quite often that's the case. Because if you really knew your value, I'm guessing you would never be with one of these fake, shallow people ever. They're frauds, right? You'd never be with them. And I realize it can be very hard to determine that. You might not have known that they were a fraud. Could have taken you 10 or 15 years, especially if they're the higher level covert sociopaths or sort of cold psychopaths. But I hope this video helps you. Yeah, don't worry about revenge on them. Worry about putting all your energy into healing you so you never find yourself in a relationship with one of these manipulators again. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.